This show is brought to you by HostBaby.com, web hosting for musicians.
Don't look now, it's episode 27 of Music Marketing Monday, where we continue our conversation about music publicity. Last week we covered Music Publicity 101. This time it's all about an insider's view of the music media. We're going to pull back the veil, the curtain. Ooh, it's so mysterious. I'm so excited. Hang on, here we go.
Information, inspiration, motivation for the modern musicpreneur.
Time to start your week right.
Here it comes, Music Marketing Monday, with your host, Bob Baker,
Mr. Buzz Factor,
and Billy Gryzak.
The Music Marketing Mind.
Ready? Are you sure?
Set.
Here it comes. Swing, baby.
Beautiful. My turn. Here we go. Don't you dare listen to what Dorothy says. Don't you dare listen to what the wizard says. Pay attention to that man behind the curtain. Yes, today, this is it. We're going to peel back the curtain, like Bob said, on this episode of Music Marketing Monday. Who am I? Well, I am Billy Gryzak, the Music Marketing Mind, and this is...
I am the wizard of music marketing, Bob Baker, Mr. Buzz Factor.
Yes, I'll be Dorothy today. No, I'll be Toto.
Oh, follow the yellow rock road.
Follow the yellow rock road. Follow the yellow rock road. Follow. And people are just unsubscribing like one by one right now.
I don't think so at all. I think they're more enthralled. They're telling their friends. They're sharing it. You got to hear this.
Dude.
Yes, indeed. So I'm excited to continue our conversation about music publicity. But before we jump into that, there's a little tease. Would you like to tease the good folks that are listening here?
Yes, I'd like to generate a little publicity type buzz here. We have a special announcement. One of the biggest, most coolest, most awesomest things to hit Twitter since Twitter hit Twitter, I don't know, is going to be happening this Labor Day, September 1. And we want you to be a part of it, okay? Because this is going to go great with burgers. It's going to go great with brats, which is what we cook here in Wisconsin. So, but you have to wait to the end of the show to find out what it's all about. And no fast forwarding.
That's right. Now, this will air. I think this actually publishes on Labor Day, if assuming we're going to, you're going to be working on the holiday to get it up.
I do.
But it's going to be an ongoing thing. So if they happen to hear this afterwards, it's an every Monday special thing.
Right.
So if you listen to it on Tuesday or Wednesday, you're still not going to miss out.
Absolutely. So I guess this is our special red, white, and blue version of Music Marketing Monday. That's right. So publicity Part 2. Take it away, Bob.
Yes, indeed. So I'm calling this an insider's view of the music media, and I'm going to be sort of, again, referencing this online course that I created called Music Publicity Insider's Guide, which is an online course, and I've got a special price on it. It's only $19.95 for a full online course and audio components.
Wait a minute. How much?
It's only $20. I know, it's ridiculous. It should be $50 or more.
Dude. I just went to a webinar the other day where they were offering some service that, I thought was pretty cool. $1,200 they wanted from me. $1,200. And you're offering your knowledge for $19.95. I don't know, man.
You're
I know.
Amazing. I like creating bargains for people. So take advantage of that because it is a limited time offer, and I will. Yeah, the price is going to go back up for the next week or so.
To $1,200.
That's right, $12 million. So anyway, as I've mentioned last week and in many episodes and throughout my last couple of decades, there was a 10-year period of my life where I was a music journalist of my own making. I created or started publishing my own music newspaper, you can call it a magazine or whatever, covered the local music scene in my hometown of St. Louis, Missouri, and I did that for a full decade of my life. And so what I like to do, because I always think one of the most important things you can do in marketing, or really in life for that matter, is to put yourself in the other person's shoes. So if you don't know what it's like to be a journalist, this is going to help you sort of get inside inside their world and then know how to approach them. But basically, like I took the sort of an unconventional path, as I've done with most things in my life. I did not go to journalism school. I didn't like write much for other papers before I started my own. I just blindly said, hey, I think this is a good idea. I can serve the local community, maybe make a few bucks. End up making, I'm kind of supporting myself for a number of years doing that, but it was just something I did on my own. And at first, I think like a lot of people that go into music journalism, you think, man, this will be fun. I love music. I was a musician myself, but I liked meeting other bands. I love the idea of being able to get free concert tickets if somebody was wanting to promote a show, getting free CDs or music that people were sending me, wanting it to be reviewed and generally being recognized as a local music journalist, and sort of and making a difference in the local scene. So there's a certain level of excitement. I think anybody that's drawn to go into music journalism to write about it has, I believe, a genuine passion for it, and they're excited by that and all the perks that come with that. And so at first, at least from me, I was like, whenever those first few issues were published, I was like, hey, what do you think of the article? And I was looking for feedback and compliments and all this stuff and recognition, and that's all that stuff is nice. But after a while, once that initial honeymoon period wears off, and if you do anything in music journalism where you develop a platform where you grow a readership. Suddenly, people start recognizing you as an opportunity to get exposure and publicity for their stuff, And so, increasingly over the years that I did that, I would get pitched, basically, and when you pitch, that means somebody going, hey man, you should cover our band. I'd be out at a club locally and people would recognize me and have conversations and, hey, I got this new band, that we've got going. And so, and it's cool, they're being proactive, and I met a lot of cool people as a result of those types of things. But then I started getting packages in the mail, I started getting emails, I started getting phone calls, and then even got on major label publicity lists, and they were pitching me for the major acts that would come through town. So after a while, you start getting bombarded with this stuff. Again, if you have a platform, the bigger your readership is, the longer you've been doing it, the more you're going to get on these lists and email lists and promo packages and and all this stuff. And it starts to wear you down a little bit. Like, oh, geez, there's another. I'd be out at a club, I'd just be having fun, hanging out with friends, and then somebody comes up, and I could tell by their by their way they start phrasing stuff that, oh, here it comes, here's the pitch, and then you sort of you'll put up a wall. Like, I really don't want to talk about. I know you might not say this to them, but I don't really want to deal with this right now. And then you realize that most people go about it the wrong way. And so, but still, as we mentioned last week, I had space to fill every week. Every month. My publication was a monthly. I don't know how people do weeklies and dailies. That's just crazy to me. That kind of schedule, but I did have to fill it with stuff, and I wanted to fill it with stuff that was happening in bands that were worthy, and also artists that had a fan base that might want to pick up the paper. So there's all sorts of motivations. I would pick and choose things, and so some of it was things that I sought out. Well, anyway, actually, we can cover that in a little bit. But basically, there's one little tenet here that I wanted to. I have a note here that says, keep this important fact foremost in mind. Most music journalists, editors, writers, reviewers, bloggers, podcasters, show hosts, and more there's two words here, they're overworked and underpaid. Sound familiar?
Overworked and underpaid.
Yes.
Wow.
So,
and can we even maybe add one, maybe somewhat underappreciated?
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah, sure. Underappreciated. Yeah, it could definitely be that.
Yeah. Wow. That's true, and a lot of people don't think about that, do they?
And so, yeah, whether you work for someone else, like you're a stringer or a freelancer. In my case, I was kind of my own boss, but boy, I was barely eking out a living. So I was definitely underpaid. I spent a lot of time on it. And yeah, so people are, and that was it was a couple of decades ago, and now it's even more so. So people are busy, they're overworked, they may be doing this part-time as just for the love of it. If they're full-time or whatever, I mean, they're probably busy trying to crank stories out so they can make a living. So just keep that in mind, and keep in mind that the more popular the blog or the newspaper is, the more they're being bombarded. And so just because you don't hear back from somebody, or don't expect that your first, little meager attempt to get their attention is going to even be noticed, so just keep this in mind. Also, realize there's a human being on the other side of your emails, your phone calls, your in-person pleas, for a attention. So So always respect that. And actually, since you mentioned the underappreciated thing, that's one of the reasons actually why I think your first communication with a journalist should not be, oh, I got something to promote, you really need to cover me. It's all me-oriented. I would say it would compliment them. And do it genuinely. I mean, this is assuming, if you don't like their stuff, don't pay them a compliment. But if you've been reading somebody's column in the local paper, reading someone's blog, a podcast, a YouTube channel, whatever it is, and you have a chance to, whether you meet them face to face or you just shoot them a message, your first thing, don't pitch anything. Just say, hey man, I've been following you for a while. I just want to say I really love what you're doing. If you could point out something specific, like especially that article that you did last week or the interview you did with so-and-so, I thought it was great. It was funny. It was whatever, just, and leave it at that. That's a nice little introductory way to get on their radar in a genuine human interaction,
Actually, can I interject a couple of things that I think you'll appreciate? First of all, there's a fellow that I've been wanting to interact with for a while, create a relationship with, who's pretty well known. He's a biggie in the industry. And he has a side project that he put up a website for, blog, whatever. And I was checking out his site, and I noticed that he didn't have his metadata set up properly for his descriptions and titles. Now, again, maybe you don't know this, Bob, about me, but my background besides music is doing website design and internet marketing. We know the internet market, but I built thousands of websites and got paid for it for years, okay?
Yeah.
And one of the things that you need to do with your websites is you need to describe them properly, because the description actually shows up in a few places, like in the title bar of your browsers and also in your descriptions in Google. If you don't have a description, it just pulls text from wherever, and that's never good. Yeah. So I noticed that he had some issues with his website that was not helping him at all with his SEO, search engine optimization, right? Mm-hmm. So I sent him an email and said, hey man, big fan. Just wanted to let you know about this thing here. And then I get a call back, and he goes, man, he says, believe it or not, I don't know everything. And he says, and I don't want to know everything. He says, I want to know people that know everything, and I really appreciate you letting me know that, and I've got my team working on it right now, so let me know if there's anything I can do for you.
Yeah, and you're really great about that, offering your help. How can I help you? You've done that with me, and I've seen you do it with other people.
And that's a point too. And that was some of the best advice I've ever gotten in my life. And let me tell you, back in my website days, I was working with this, believe it or not, this coal company, and I was developing a work for them. And every time I would work with this lady, she was so nice. I would say, okay, I did this, and this. By the way, is there anything else I could do for you today? And I was just naively putting that in because I wanted to know, because it was a client. And one day she said to me, you know why I give you all my business? I said, no. She says, because at the end of every message, you say, what else can I do for you today? And I really appreciate that. And from that day on, if you notice, that's almost always my tagline when I communicate with anyone, even you, and you're one of my good friends, but I still, every day I ask you, what can I do for you? And it's not just a tagline, and I got to really drive this home. Just don't use it as a marketing tool. If you don't care, it's better you don't say, all right? But I really do care about people, and I really want to help people. It's one of the things that get me out of bed every day, So if I'm asking somebody for something or whatever I'm doing, I always try to say, blah, 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 great, fantastic. By the way, is there anything else I can do for you today? And it's amazing what that does. So, when you're reaching out, people don't expect that. Most people have their hands out and say, do this for me. Gimme, 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 gimme. And I think you need to give more than you expect to get if you really want to be successful. End of my rant.
No, that's awesome. In fact, there's a phrase that I've used, and this is worth writing down if you're in a position to do that as you listen, but it's basically something along the lines of position yourself as a perk and not a pest. And
I love it.
Yeah, you want to be a perk. So not only do you want to compliment journalists, but actually if you become a resource for them, like some of my favorite people when I was a journalist are people who come to me with story ideas, or they just wouldn't promote themselves, or they just wouldn't approach me saying, hey, feature my band. They would like package it and go, hey, did you know there's this group of people, a band kind of at the forefront of this XYZ, was a certain genre or whatever, and I'm in touch with these other bands. If you want to do a story about this sort of movement or this trend in St. Louis, I can put you in touch with the people. There was a guy that did that back when industrial music, whatever, was coming in early Trent Reznor, Nine Inch Nails days. And I thought it was brilliant the way that he approached me with that. I'm like, yeah, this is great. He's make it easy for the person that you're communicating with. Bring something of value, whether you're shining the spotlight just on yourself with your own album or event, or just pitch ideas. Hey, I caught this great band. I thought it was something you might want to check out at some point. So you're like a resource for them, not just honking your own horn or only reaching out when you need a handout. Yeah.
So, one of the best ways to handle that is really clever uses of your email signatures. Is really go out there with this attitude. I'm going to go out there and add value to other people's lives. I'm going to make their jobs easier. I'm going to help them. And every time they get a message from you, at the bottom is where you get a chance to say things like, blah, 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 blah. Hope this helps. Thanks a lot, Billy. And then at the bottom, you have, Mr. Billy, new kid CD coming out, touring 42 states. Here's links for info. It's not part of your message, and you're not aiming it at them as the part of your message, but it's there. And after a while of seeing your name, they might feel an obligation or just have curiosity. What exactly is it that you do? And bam, now you've built some relationship, you built some trust, and they're seeking you out, and you're not bugging them. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's really important. I find in the world of marketing and sales, it's always better to have people come to you and ask you if they can buy your CD, come to you and ask you if they could book your band, come to you and ask you if they could do a story on you. It's always better than asking people to do it. You know what I mean? So my entire career has been based on how can I get people to come to me so I don't have to sell them. You know what I mean? I've always preferred to be an order taker as opposed to being a salesman. So that's where my passion in marketing comes from, So
my friend Scott Ginsberg, who I think we might have mentioned him, wears a name tag 24/7. He's been doing it for over 10 years.
So brilliant.
Yeah, he used to live in St. Louis, or he's born and raised here, but he lives in New York now. But basically, years ago he had this thing that we talked about a lot called reverse target marketing. And so basically, what it was is the typical marketing is you, the marketer, the promoter, chooses a certain element of the population, and you aim they're your target. You're aiming your message at them, and that's cool. It's still effective. But reverse target marketing is where you become the target and you create situations where they come to you because you have I've identified yourself as something of value to them, and they find you and come to you. So it's like the opposite. I love that.
Who is this again?
Scott Ginsberg came up with that concept. I think maybe it was, or maybe it came out of a conversation we had, and he developed it more. But yeah, isn't that awesome?
I love it. Anyway, we've kind of got derailed a little bit, but you know what that means, don't you?
What's that?
That means we have episode 3 of publicity. So go on with your list there, and I will try. But the stuff that you're saying, Bob, I feel sorry for the people that are listening to the show right now, because I know they would just want to jump in and start having a conversation with us right now, because this is great stuff, and it's something to have a conversation about. It's just not listening to. I love this interaction we've got going. And guys, girls, everybody listening to the show, please interact with us. Yeah. We are people on the other end of the show, and we love it when you contact us in any way. And at the end of the show, we're going to tell you all different ways you can interact with the show, and we want to hear from you. Now, Billy will stop talking.
That's okay. Yeah. Don't feel free to pay us a compliment too. That's.
Oh, okay. Bob, you're awesome. I love you.
And I want everybody listening to say, "How can I help you?" So I got a few things in mind. Okay, but anyway, so I got a couple.
I think I need a new muffler.
Yeah. Yeah. Does anybody do any handiwork around the house? A lawnmower, maybe? No. So I got some bullet points here. I'm just kidding. By the way. So here's something a little more along the insider's view. And I have this bullet point, or this question, I should say. Where do media people get ideas for what they choose to cover? This is important to know. If you know how they operate and where the ideas come from and why, you're going to put yourself. You'll be better armed, I should say, to approach them. But basically, journalists. One of the ways that they they cover stories is stories are assigned to them. So when there was a certain amount of when I did my 10-year period of publishing my own paper, I would say, well, there's this band that I think really deserves to be covering, or this event, but I don't have time to do it myself. So I'm going to assign it. So I would reach out to different writers who I thought would be appropriate. I said, hey, I got this story idea, this thing, I think you'd be right for you. Do you have time? Are you interested? And so that's one way. So writers or journalists get assigned. Then there are, stories that writers who work. Oh, okay. So then there's stories that writers who work for them suggest. So actually, probably more often than not, I had these. At any given time, I had like a stable of contributors to my newspaper, and they all did it for really cheap. I paid them just a little bit, what I could afford. And there was constant flow of people. Sometimes they would write for a year, and then I wouldn't see them again or whatever. But they would come to me quite often, and something that they discovered. There was an event that they were in support of, and they had to pitch me, just like an artist or a publicist. They would have to sell me on the idea why it was worth covering, because not everything was. Even my own writers would come to me. I'm going, I don't know. It's really not in alignment with, with what I think the readership or the theme of the paper. But a lot of times I go, that sounds good. And they had the connections, and they had the whole, they knew a lot about it. And so I would give them the okay to pursue that story. So that's one way. So individuals, freelancers or journalists choose things, and they have to pitch them to their editors or to their bosses. And then there are artists, events, and trends they discover on their own, whether it's the editor or the writer themselves. They could be surfing the net. They could be reading other media. Quite often, media pays attention to other media. Like I got a write-up in the Post-Dispatch once on self-publishing because I was the president of the St. Louis Publishers Association. Nice big article in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. And then I got a call from a producer at a radio station going, hey, we saw the article in the Post, and we'd like to have you on to talk about that on our radio show. Because quite often they look at other stuff. Just going out and seeing, you might go to see a headliner, and the opening band is somebody you've never seen. You go, wow, this is great. And, and you meet them and you decide to do a story. Or just from friends. So basically, journalists and editors discover things to write about the same way that fans do, from friends, from just being aware, and surfing online and seeing what there's a buzz about. And then number 4, and it is purposely at the bottom of the list, which is probably one of the last places, is ideas submitted by publicists and self-promoting artists. So when you're pitching your bloggers or your radio show hosts or whatever it is, just know that that's just one of many ways that they get story ideas. And so you're in competition with a lot of other stuff there, and they probably are going to be leaning toward the other ones first because they're people that they know, people they already have a relationship with, something that they discovered on their own that they have an interest in, or something that's assigned to them. And I know you there's a lot of things about you, Billy, that I'm still learning. But what is were you like a writer for a kids blog, or tell me your journalism sort of background.
I am a reluctant writer. I feel much more comfortable speaking, talking, and doing video. I mean, that's where I'm at. You know what I mean? Because my style of communication is somewhat it's very casual on purpose, right. And it's also very tongue in cheek, sort of. So and plus I have really bad grammar. and I don't spell so good.
But
So,
you still have been a contributor though to some.
yes, I was actually had a column in a magazine called Pass It On, which is the trade publication for the Children's Music Network, which I was also a board member for several years. And our show was called Marketing Matters. And what was really interesting about that column and being in that publication was it was the first time that they actually acknowledged that marketing was important to having a career in children's music, because that is a very grassrootsy kind of folky organization. Great organization. You should check them out. cmnonline.org. cmnonline.org. And it's a wonderful organization. So yeah, this was a great opportunity for me to open up people's eyes to the fact that marketing is not bad. It's a good thing. It's a necessary thing. And through that, you were one of my guests, like we did a thing.
Yeah.
And it was also the first time that I was actually able to interview and talk to Derek Sivers. So I got him on there because most of the people in that organization had no idea what CD Baby was back then. So I wanted to raise awareness about that and stuff. So it was really well received. But for me, and now I never really got to the point where people were badgering me or submitting a lot of ideas to me, because it was kind of a closed organization. You know what I mean?
Right. And you had a column that you had the freedom to write whatever you wanted to about. They didn't assign you stuff, or you. No. Like, it was pretty much on your own. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was really great, and I really enjoyed it. In fact. And I tried my hand at blogging for a while. We had the music marketing, children's music marketing blog, and that went okay. But again, I'm not a comfortable writer. I have to. Right. I'm still working on that one, Bob. You know what I mean?
That's cool. So you never really had the in-depth being on the receiving end of the pitches and all that, and you had the freedom to choose your own stories. Which, I guess the point there is that every journalist, everyone. Again, listen to the previous episode where we defined what media is these days, and it's very broad, but it's basically anyone who has access to an audience, and you have to approach them and persuade them that your story is worth sharing with their audience.
I had, it just dawned on me. I used to, for a year, I was actually a staff writer for, what was it called? Anyway, there was a kids and family magazine here in Wisconsin, and I had a column. Check this out. This was something interesting I did. I pitched them an idea to do I think the magazine came out, was it monthly or biweekly? Biweekly. And I pitched them an idea where I would write a song, and then I would put the song lyrics in the story, and I would put a link to the song where the readers could get it for free, and then I would tell the story about. I would write the song. It was called Writing with Kids, and I would write a song with kids, get a bunch of kids at a school or whatever, and we'd write a song, and I talk about how the process of writing, and then the final product, and I pitched it to them. Check this out, Bob. You're going to love this. As a column that I would do to add value to their magazine, to get more people to go to their website, because they were trying to figure out how to get people to the website. And it says, well, let's give them a free song every time the magazine comes out. And in return for that, instead of salary, they actually gave me a half-page ad in the magazine that I could do whatever I wanted with.
Sweet.
It was sweet. I got to tell you, that was the period of time where I had the most people come to my shows, because here's how I used my half-page ad. Ready for this? I basically made a schedule for the month and said, here's my live shows. And I put like little, clip here things, with a pair of scissors.
Oh,
and
nice.
It gets better. And I said, clip this now and then get a magnet and put it on your refrigerator.
Oh, funny.
And everybody said to me, yeah, I looked on the refrigerator and I saw you were playing today, so we showed up. And for that year, I had my highest attendance records because I had a regular targeted audience, and it didn't cost me a dime because I was adding value. Oh, look at that. I was adding value to the magazine because I said, I can help you drive traffic to your website. And they were very appreciative, and it worked out really great until they sold the company. I still might be doing it.
That's awesome. Well, there's another lesson there. In addition to trying to pitch people who, are part of the media, you can become the media or part of the media yourself. I offer to, if you feel, if you're a good writer or whatever the format is of the media outlet, if it's a radio show, you could do audio or whatever too. But try it if you have something of value. Of course, you couldn't be just talking about yourself every time, but that's another option too. If you write articles, submit them to music-related publications, and maybe you'll get a little blurb or free ad in exchange for it. It's got to make sense. It's got to be some,
right. And even if you don't, even if basically you volunteer, we have another magazine here in town called The Scene, and basically it's volunteer-driven writers, but the writers do get their bylines, and Bob, you should probably explain a byline. And that helps drive people to their websites and to their shows. Yeah,
well, a byline is just simply, usually under the headline, written by whoever. So it'd be Billy Gryzak or Bob Baker or Joe Schmo. It doesn't matter. And then quite often in some publications, the writer at the end of the article will have a paragraph, like a little author or writer bio that you can plug your stuff in, send people to your own website or whatever you got going on. But looking at the time here, we should probably tell them this new announcement and then be done with it.
So, but we're going to stick with publicity for another week, right?
We can do that. Yeah. Let's probably let's take a look at the poll and plug the poll, and then decide if we want to do that and see what there's plenty to talk about, but we may or may not want to switch gears. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what, folks, since right before we do that, here's your opportunity to chime in and tell us whether we should stick with publicity or not. Number one, publicity was our most requested feature. Have we fulfilled our obligation here, or do you think we need to go on? Let us know. Next is unusual venues, and then unusual performing niches, whatever you like. So that's the top three: publicity, unusual venues, and unusual performing niches. So what we want you to do is get on MusicMM, hashtag MusicMM on Twitter. Tell us, keep going publicity, or move on to unusual venues or unusual performing niches, or go to at Music Market Mind on Twitter if you just want to contact me directly, Bob.
Yeah, I'm Mr. Buzz Factor there as well.
Right. Or okay. Or you can, if you're a member of our Music Marketing Mind group on Facebook, just let us know where we should go with that. Okay. So, and do we have SpeakPipe too, Bob?
Yeah, speakpipe.com/Mr. Buzz Factor, and it's not Mr. spelled out, it's MR Buzz Factor, which is my same as my Twitter handle and all that good stuff. But yeah, many, many ways to communicate with us.
And now,
drum roll, please.
Drum roll, please. Boom. Okay, here we go. We are starting a brand new music, career, marketing, whatever you want to talk about, Twitter chat. And for those of you out there that are familiar with Madeline Sklar, the Twitter diva, she's been running a chat called GG Chat, hashtag GG Chat, very successfully for a few years. And basically what it is, we turn Twitter into a chat room, a live chat room, and we get to talk about a topic, whatever topic we choose, and these chats are wonderful. Now, why would we do this when Madeline's already doing it? Well, she used to have one at night on Thursdays. Then now she's doing two on Thursdays. And we had a conversation, and she said to me, I don't know why other people aren't utilizing Twitter in this way, and I would love it, Billy, if someone else would do a chat. Well, that's a challenge right there. That's an invitation. So I talked to Bob, and we agreed that, yes, we're going to give you what you want. So starting this Monday, so today, you're listening to the podcast in the morning, and later today, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, if you go onto Twitter and you type in the hashtag MMM chat. So it's M chat, 3M chat. So it's MMM chat, right?
For Music Marketing Monday. Yeah, chat.
Music Marketing Monday chat. And then when you do that, you can type in your comments, your conversations. And then what you do, now this is really simple. All you do is you search first in Twitter for hashtag MMM chat, and then a window will come up in Twitter, and everybody that uses that hashtag will pop up like a chat window, and we can have a live conversation. I'm really excited about. Bob's excited. Bob won't be on the first call because it is Labor Day, but I kind of wanted to just kind of start out a little slow and get the bugs out. So check it out. And for those of you that follow Bob and follow me, we'll be setting up a page with some other ways you can join the chat, like using Twitter chat and some other things. But this is exciting stuff. It's a real time.
That's cool.
Real time live chat. It's like the sky's the limit. And I can't wait till I want everybody to join.
And that's the set time. It's 3 p.m. Eastern, which is 2 p.m. Central, and 12 noon Pacific, I guess, right?
Beautiful, beautiful. And yes, and this is a weekly thing. And no matter what, we're going to do it. And that's just that because, we, like I said earlier, sometimes I feel bad that we can't just turn the podcast into a conversation, but this is how we can do it.
That is a great way, and it's actually very coincidental that the Music Marketing Monday chat would take place on a Monday.
Exactly, and the idea behind the chat is, unless another subject comes up, we will be using the subject of the podcast for the subject of the chat. So this today, I have to remember we're listening today. Today on September 1st, we will be talking publicity on the MMM chat. So Music Marketing Monday chat. So but we're always open. It's an open forum. We can talk about whatever, music related, but we'll start off talking publicity. And then let's say in a couple of weeks, we're talking unusual venues. That'll be the topic. So the idea is you listen to Music Marketing Mind podcast in the morning, get your audio caffeine, and then you share your experience and talk about stuff with everyone else that listens to the show. It's going to be fun.
I love it. And so, yeah, you better start getting your fingertips and your thumbs in shape. For these twats.
Twats.
Because we want you to tweet during the chat, the twat. I coined a new phrase.
I love it, man. I'm registered trademarking that right now. We're going to have a twat.
The Twitter chat's now known as a twat. Yeah,
oh, my gosh. That's funny. All right. Well, anyway, we're way over time. I'm so sorry, everybody. I hope you didn't miss your, appointment or something, but that's good. All right. We're ready. We're done.
They got a few more extra minutes in their workout while they listen to us. That's the way I look at it. So.
Oh, yeah, man. That's great.
We're helping you with your physical fitness. So
Thank you. All right, Bob, anything else? Oh,
no.
Real quick, just tell them one more time, because all the information you've been sharing is coming from what resource again?
Yeah, it's an online course that I created. It's one of the most in-depth, best things. Certainly the most in-depth thing I've ever done on music publicity specifically. It's called the Music Publicity Insider's Guide, and it's an online course. And you can go to thebuzzfactor.com, click the books tab there, and one of the first listings on that page will be a link to the course. And I've lowered the information about the course, and I've lowered the price for like the next week or so only.
$12,000.
It's normally $12,000. No, it's $97 value. I've sold it at $47, but it's $19.95 for pretty damn in-depth thing. And not only about this insider's view, but I specifically go into great depth on this thing.
Are you still there?
Crafting news hooks and story
now
ideas. Basically, those are the actual things that you pitch to the journalist.
For your
it keeps
free
their
30-day
needs in mind, and there's an art and craft to it. And I've never gone into more depth about how to craft those pitches than in this online course. So get it while it's only $20. It's well worth it.
Well worth it, man. Okay. On that note. Ta-da!
All right, it was a good one, Billy. Have a good weekend, or week, I should say. See you.
And I hope everybody's having a great Labor Day today. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye. So long.